Yeah, yeah. If you know the roots of it, you will find the truth in it. If you know the roots of it, you would make good use of it. Now listen, they have been hiding the truth for so long, yeah, trying to tell the people, using the herb is so wrong, yeah. It has been there since then, thousands of years. Now is the time to drive away those fears. Come on, people, open up your ears. That's why we're singing it loud and clear. If you know the roots of it, you will find the truth in it. Rick Simpson knows the roots of it. That's why he makes good use of it. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. This is the cannabis song. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. This is the cannabis song. Bob Marley said, excuse me while I light my spliff now, knowing that the cannabis is a precious gift, yeah. It has been there since 10,000 of years. Now is the time to drive away those fears. Come on, people, open up your ears. That's why we're singing it loud and clear. If you know the roots of it, then you will find the truth in it. Darkcity Radio knows the roots of it. That's why we make good use of it. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. This is the cannabis song. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. This is the cannabis song. So I beg you, do not turn youths into criminals by declaring something good into illegal. It is helpful, it is useful, it is natural for your meditation, inspirational. Known all over the world, it's international. From the Rasta man down to the gardener, they use it as a holy sacrament, well spiritual. The only crime about it, it's still illegal. If you know the roots of it, then you will find the truth in it. Rick Simpson knows the roots of it. That's why he's telling the world to make good use of it. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. This is the cannabis song. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Yeah. My little cannabis song.
Well done, brother. Well done. Great song. I love the way you put it all together.
Thank you.
That's a wonderful piece of music. Good evening, everyone. I'm Rick Simpson, and welcome to another episode of Darkcity Radio. And of course, the theme of these shows that we're doing is always about the healing power of the cannabis hemp plant. To most of us who took the time to read George Orwell's book 1984, it seemed the world we inhabit could never degenerate into such a state. We could not imagine being under surveillance from cameras, nor could we believe that our governments would actually hire people to go through our mail or listen in on to our conversations, because we all thought that we had at least the right to some privacy. We also could not comprehend our governments not working for the greater good of their citizens, and we thought that such a thing could only take place in one of their Hollywood horror movies, and that if anything like this were to happen, the mainstream media would relish the opportunity to expose what was taking place. In addition, we tended to think that our legal systems were actually about justice, and that our medical systems were there to heal our illnesses in the most harmless way possible, and that doctors would never stand in the way to prevent the use of a harmless natural medication that could save their own patients. We were also under the impression that the rich elite were quite benign in nature, and that many of them would even put up some of their own money to back a worthy cause which could help all mankind. Not that long ago, this was the way that most of us looked at our world. But over the last few years, due to events which have transpired, many of us now have a different view, and we have come to realize that even all these ongoing wars that continue to plague mankind are being fought for no reason other than greed and to allow the rich elite to maintain control. From the time I was a young man, I always sensed that there was something not quite right about our world and what we were all being told. To me, there was a great many things that did not make sense about the way in which we were living. But to bring all I suspected into perspective, I needed to find something that would connect my suspicions. Then I stumbled upon the untapped healing powers of the essential oils that can be produced from the cannabis hemp plant. After observing the medical miracles this amazing oil was capable of, I reported my findings openly to the Canadian government, but they refused to act. Their lack of interest only increased my suspicions. Then, after watching a large variety of documentaries about subjects I deemed to be important, it suddenly all became clear as to what the system was really doing. For a very long time, they have been working diligently to keep us dumbed down and living in ignorance, so we would remain enslaved to their wishes. I think it says somewhere that all men are supposed to be created equal. But how could we all be considered equal when the rich elite and those in authority that they control have gone out of their way to see that the real truth remains hidden? It appears that those in authority look at us all as being unworthy of knowing the way in which our world is really being run. Now some might say that they are doing this to protect us, but I feel that only those who are very gullible would believe such a statement. I think those of us who are sensible are looking at the activities of the powers that be in a much different way, and we now recognize their sinister nature. Well, this might not be 1984, folks, but does the tyranny we are currently living under not bear an uncanny resemblance to the book that Orwell wrote so long ago? I and many others certainly think so, and since we could not imagine living in such a world, we feel that it is our duty to set things straight and try to make life better for everyone, everywhere. After all, is this not what we are all supposed to be doing? And do you really think that someone else is going to solve these problems for you when those in positions of trust have already shown a complete lack of concern for our well-being? Only a fool would expect them to do an about-face at this point, and those of us who see things for what they are realized a long time ago just who all of these parasites are working for, and it is certainly not the human race. For the last 10 years, I have harbored the hope that in time these individuals would come to see the error of their ways, and they too would see the grim future the rich elite has in store for them as well. After all, the rich and powerful have made no secret of the fact that they wish to eliminate about 95% of us. Do these idiots who are working for them to help achieve this goal not realize that they and their families will probably be eliminated along with the rest of us? If our population were to be reduced from 7 billion down to 500 million, just how many politicians, doctors, lawyers, and police officers, etc., would be required? And what would the system do with those who were no longer needed? I expect that their fate would be little different than ours, but still, those who continue to support this self-destructive agenda. For the most part, I guess you could say that these individuals are not too bright, because while working to promote our demise, they are also doing the same to themselves. How important will their professions and positions be to them when they and their families are put in the same graveyards that the rich are preparing for the rest of us? No doubt some of these clowns will delude themselves into thinking that such a thing could never happen to them. But by reducing our numbers so dramatically, I really cannot imagine why the rich elite would feel a need to keep most of those who help them achieve their aims around in the future. After all, if they have their way, about 13 out of every 14 who currently inhabit this earth will be exterminated. So this means that the vast majority of those who have gone along with this insanity will probably face the same fate. It's really little different than concentration camps, where inmates who are willing to comply are kept around to keep the camp running smoothly. But when the role they are playing is no longer deemed necessary, these individuals will be eliminated too. And this is a fate that very few can escape, no matter what they do, to comply with their evil masters. So unless something is done right away to call a halt to the future they have planned for us, it looks as if we have little to look forward to, unless we unite and bring about the changes that are required. From my perspective, I do not think we have a choice. If we want mankind to have a future, we all have to become involved. And if we do so, our species and others will then be able to thrive once more as they should. Okay, Paul, could you give out the numbers so we can let the people know how to get in touch?
Yes, I certainly can, Rick. The telephone number to ring from outside the UK is +44. If you don't have a plus key, it's 0044 161 298 0298. If you're inside the UK, little simpler, you just need 0161 298 0298. And you can Skype us at Bob's Backyard. If you are out there listening to us and you haven't got Skype, it's a program you can download. It's free. Don't pay for it. Get the free version. And just go click the plus button, the little person with the plus button, and add Bob's Backyard. You'll see it'll come up Bob's Backyard and then Darkcity Radio behind it. I got cloned. So, then you can have that. It's free of charge. And the other one is the chat room. We've got a few people gathered in that chat room. A few I do recognise, actually. And that chat room is on AnonNet, and the channel is called hash, that's the hash symbol, Bob's Backyard. And you can click the website, and there's buttons on the website that I'm told are working at the moment, which is good. Still on the old website, new one's coming really soon. And there's two buttons there. One says, there's a big blue button, then you can click it to Skype. If you've already got Skype installed in your machine, you can just click that, and that'll put you through directly to us live on the show. Or alternatively, you can click the button at the top, which says, click here to enter chat. And just follow the simple procedure from there. Of course, if you've already got an IRC client, you won't need that. So yeah, just make sure in the bottom of the box, because different browsers, it's always a little bit different. Just make sure where it says channel, it does say hash Bob's Backyard. And you can put any username in you want. It'll come up as web user. And a number. But you can change that to anything you want. So welcome to web user 9884, who's just joined us in the chat room. So, or a few moments ago. So yeah, Miss Hazel's in there as well, and she's also in the chat with us, Rick. Okay. So there's not many of us this evening, but we have got a nice little community. Oh, and just let me say, anybody who's listening on the Pal Talk program, the chat program Pal Talk, if anybody's actually listening over there, I do keep forgetting to mention you, but you're always in my thoughts. You really are. Because we do know that many of the shows are now being, especially yours, Rick, and many of the others are now being played in the Pal Talk room.
Ah, good. Well, I hate to say this, but in the near future, I'm going to have to bow out for a while. This head condition that I have, this noise all the time, when I'm under a lot of stress, it becomes, it gets to the point where it starts happening. Well, I had the noise 24 hours a day, but when it gets extremely loud, for quite some time, I've been able to control this a bit, but lately it's just been every day that the noise gets extreme, and when that happens, I mean, you just want to go, it's like having a migraine headache. But, so I'm going to have to back off a bit on some of these interviews. I'm just too overloaded, I guess, with work. But, I was talking to Jindřich Bear in the Czech Republic, and, Jindra and I have worked together on this for a long time now. And, I believe on next, Sunday, I'll try to get Jindra to come on the show, the next Dark City radio show. And, then, people can get to know him a bit, and he's very knowledgeable about this subject, and Jindra will be filling in, sometimes, like during the summer, and of course we'll have all these reruns, because I think this is show 23, so that's about 46 hours of reruns we're going to have, to play during the summer too, so I think we'll have a lot there to keep people entertained.
I'm so pleased about this, me, Rick. I mean, people don't know this, but my concern has been your health and wealth and well-being. Don't know which order that is, but it has been for a while, man. You know, and it sounds a bit weird, but yeah, you should do it. You know, I've said to people over and over again, he's here for 4 hours a week. You can come and talk to him. It isn't going to last forever. Now, it shouldn't have lasted this long, Rick. It really shouldn't have done that. I mean, I'm not, like I say, I'm not complaining. It's been brilliant, and I know you're not leaving us. You know what I mean? I know.
No, I'm not going anywhere.
But we like, you know, we try to speak the truth. We try to be as honest as we possibly can, Rick. And yeah, the truth is, well, Rick hasn't even got enough medicine for himself.
That's the main problem, really, is just, you know, if I have an ongoing steady supply of high-grade oil, then it keeps me leveled out and, you know, and I can manage. But, like, over here, the oil is very hard to get and the high-quality stuff is very hard to get. Mm-hmm. So I've had a problem with that. And then, you know, I'm doing so many shows and interviews now and so many people are coming at me every day that it gets overwhelming and that puts so much stress on you. That, you know, and then the noise levels go up and I suffer for it. So I've got to take some time, I guess, to take care of number one, but I'll still be with the Darkcity every chance I get.
Yeah, and we've always thought about taking a day, Rick, as well, you know, and making it the cannabis or the hemp day, because it's not all about cannabis, of course, and bringing in the broader fields of it.
Oh, yes. Good idea.
Yeah. Because in all fairness, I mean, how much Rick Simpson do you want, people? In all fairness, listen, you know, he's great to hang about with and it's brilliant, but you know, I think it's time that Rick shouldn't be up on there getting the rocks thrown at him every day. Because, you know, it's beautiful stuff as well. But, you know, I've only been doing this a short period of time in my life, and I'll tell you, it's heart-wrenching, some of it. It's heart-wrenching. I don't know how you've done it, Rick. I really don't, man. I mean...
Some of the calls, Paul, that I've received in a lot of these interviews they're like you say, they're so heart-wrenching, and you know, and I feel, well, I mean, totally impotent. I mean, I'm sitting there, I know the truth. We have proof, you know, everywhere of what this oil can do, and all these people suffering, and they all look at me like, you know, like I can supply the oil to them. And I wish that were the case, but I can't. You know, I mean, I can't even supply oil to myself. So, you know, it's a very frustrating position to be in. But, you know, as I said, we are making headway, but it's you know, my concern is, I mean, how many people have to die before this is finally over? You know, right now, at this very minute, you know, in hospitals all over this world, you know, people are laying there and dying for no damn reason other than the fact that they don't have a good medicine that can save their lives. And we have the medicine. We have the answer. But the damn system stands there against us, you know, and, I mean, if they had some kind of rational reason to hold the use of this medicine back, other than greed, I wouldn't have a problem with this. But this medicine, and I mean, it's man's oldest known and safest medication. We used it all through history. Jesus Christ himself used it to heal people. But yet today, we're not allowed to grow it, and we're not allowed to treat ourselves. So this is the kind of world we live in, you know, totally controlled, you know, by so many evil individuals. And, I mean, this is the reason I say this has to come to an end. You know, and you know, it's one thing, I don't feel quite so bad for adults because, I mean, adults are older, they're educated, and they should be able to use their own brains. But, you know, when I look at these children's wards and these cancer wards with, you know, full of children, that's when that really tugs at my heartstrings. And, to me, it's just a horror story. You know, anybody that would go in there and administer poisons and radiation, chemo, stuff like that to little children, you know, I mean, obviously there is something wrong between their ears. And I just hope that the day is going to come very soon when we won't have to see these horrors take place any longer. You know, we have an answer here. All we need is the freedom to do it. And I think it's just about time that those who are standing in our path get out of our way. Because, I mean, there's no future for mankind. You know, it's like Paul said, you know, and I hope they do this show, because this plant is not just medicine. It covers so many different aspects of our lives, and it can help us in so many different ways. You know, starvation, energy, building supplies, anything you can think of can be produced from hemp. So why aren't we doing it? You know, these restrictions, it's just a bunch of lies and nonsense. You know, and it's, as I told everyone in the past, any law, statute, or act that was ever put in place against the use or growing and use of this plant, they're all based in corruption. So in other words, we got the whole damn world running around trying to follow laws that aren't even real. But yet, you know, it continues on. You know, American government, they say, you know, cannabis is a Schedule 1 drug, which means it's non-medicinal. It has no medicinal use. But at the same time, they have medical patents in place. So, you know, it's all a lie, and it's so easy to see through. It's just that the big money don't want us to be able to heal ourselves, because that's going to affect all of the big industries, like the drug industry and energy industries. All the big industries they own will be affected. You know, so we should just continue to go along and die, because, you know, we wouldn't want to affect their profit margins now, would we? You know, so what kind of world do we live in? I mean, humanity has to start coming first. Big business is just about time they took the back seat. And I think, you know, that in a short time we can build a much better world, and we can all have a much better life. And I believe that's the goal we should all be looking to achieve. So it's pretty damn simple.
I can't dispute anything you've been saying, bro. I never can. You know, I've given over playing the devil's advocate on this. I really have. There's a lot of the questions that just get recycled. They do get recycled. We've been around a while. Like I say, how much Rick Simpson do you need? There's a bit more than that, actually, Rick. There's the original Darkcity show, what you came on with, Callie and Prajna, the very first one. And I'm just looking back from there until now, and we've moved on a little bit at the station in the fact that we're getting a little bit more stabler and things don't break. Touching the wood. Where's my rabbit's foot? As they used to, you know, and that's not all down to us. That's down to other major service providers like Skype and that settling down. And yeah, what I'm getting at here, Rick, is you're important to me, mate. You know, putting the radio to one side, putting all the cries for help and all the brilliant stories. You know, I keep thinking about that little baby, that picture of that little baby, and who's now happy and eating food and well. She's well. I mean, but putting it all on one side, bro.
Well, this is what
you're important. You should put yourself first. You should put yourself first. You should put your feet up. You should get over there to BC. Okay. I know it's coming, I know it's a bit off, but you should get there over to BC. There's people starting to roll them for you, looking at our chat room here, Rick. There's QI and Hazel, and I don't know if Monkey's just jumped in, I don't know what's happened, but welcome, Monkey. They're pretty active, and they're already starting to conspire in your absence, Rick, right?
Good.
And it's good shit, man, that's what I'm saying, you know. And these people are saying it. He's tired. And you know, who wouldn't be? Bang, 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 over and over and over and over again. You know, you've done hours on it. God knows how many hours you've done in the last few months, Rick, where you've pushed out here again. How many hours?
It adds up, brother. Well, even these little skits that I write, you know, for the beginning of the show, that usually takes 2 or 3 hours to write. Yeah. So it's not just a 2-hour show. You got to write the little skit and, you know, and plus all the other shows I'm doing. But, you know, like, you know, I just keep trying to push this as much as I can because, you know, the government's, well, here just recently, I guess in Canada, they announced that the government's going to get out of the marijuana business, you know, because they were supplying, they had their marijuana access program and all this. So apparently what they're trying to do is they want to yank all the medical licenses that people currently have. And the government wants nothing more to do with marijuana, so it'll all be passed over to the pharmaceutical companies. And you know what they're going to do. It's time to make lots of money, and they certainly, that'll be the avenue that they will pursue. And that's the reason I think it's important that people like me and all the others that are on this show and many others that I do, it's important that we keep screaming and, to free this plant so we can all have access and we can all grow it and we can all produce our own medicine if we so choose. But I really do hate to see the pharmaceutical industry involved in this in any way, because these are the same people that have been holding this back for decades. I mean, they've known about the healing power of this plant, yet they've hidden it. And they've used all these absurd excuses, oh, well, we're going to synthesize the cannabinoids to take the high out of it. Well, getting high on hemp never killed anyone. And as far as I'm concerned, the high is part of the healing. So I don't think anybody in their right mind should even consider taking the high out of it. But, that's the excuse they used. But at the same time, these same drug companies were supplying all these opiates and all these other harmful addictive substances. They didn't care about the high that, that people got from these substances. So you can see the lame excuse they used. But, I think the pharmaceutical industry are some of the biggest villains on this planet. And it horrifies me that they've got their fingers in this medicine at all. Because when I brought this out, I did this so everyone could, and so everyone could heal themselves. I didn't do this to make pharmaceutical companies rich. So I'm hoping that in the near future the public will stand up and take the freedom back and take the right to grow this plant back. Because under common law, and that's the only law I really believe in, under common law.
And we're back, Rick.
Okay. As I understand it, under the criminal code here in Canada, it states that we have the right to have our cases heard in a common law court. But when you go into our court system and you demand that right, well, they just snowball you. They just, put up their little smoke screen and all their double talk. And so like I said, these courts are all admiralty law. That's the law of the high seas. It really has nothing to do with us living on land. But, this is just part of the scam. And this has been going on forever. So, this is another thing. We need a real legal system. We need a real medical system. We need honest people representing us in politics. We've got to change everything and get it back into some form, of sensible again. And, if we work together to do this, then, we can switch all these industries that we currently have, or most of them, can be switched over into hemp-based industries. To provide jobs. We can get millions of people, employment, because, this will put people back on the land. So, we'll all have a future to look forward to instead of just the rich guys. They're used to having it all. And, what I've seen over the last few years, well, there used to be a lower class, a middle class, and an upper class. And now it just seems that there's the upper class and then there's all us poor people. And, believe me, there's lots of us. And this is another reason I look at this as being so important, because, the price they want for any of their medications, the drug companies supply, are just horrendous. And like I said, these medications, they do nothing but harm anyway. But, if we had the freedom to grow this plant, well, my God, you could produce a cancer treatment for practically nothing. 1 pound of hemp bud. Take that 1 pound, dry it out good, and, make your medicine. And, in a short time, we'd all be growing, really, very, very medicinal strains of, the cannabis plant. Because if your neighbor's growing something better than you are, then you'd get some seeds from them or some cuttings, and pretty soon you'd be doing the same. So this would evolve very rapidly, and there's no danger here. This is what I try to stress with people, don't get the idea in your head that using cannabis as a medicine is going to harm you, because, like I said, nobody's ever died in the history, all through written history. There's not one recorded death concerning this plant. So there's absolutely no danger. It's actually the safest medicine on earth. So I really don't see any reason, why we shouldn't be all demanding the use of this substance immediately. And I think it's just about time we told the police to get off our backs. We've had enough of them and their manipulation, and we know who they're working for, and they should realize it themselves. Because like I said, in the end, their families are going to suffer too. So I think it's just about a time they start working for us instead of working against us. Because that's what we're paying them to do. But
Yeah, well, I've had similar occurrences today, Rick. I'll mention them later. Just skipping back to my comment on how much Rick Simpson can the people handle. I uploaded the what weren't missing shows, but because of the problems we've had with servers and stuff, things got behind. And I uploaded about 6 maybe of your shows, Rick. It must have been at least 10, maybe 12 hours of Rick Simpson. And within half a day, somebody went, "Where's show 18? It's missing." So there you go, mate. Not enough. The people can't get enough, Rick. That's why I'm saying you're important. You're important to me, and you're important to them people out there. I know that because of the response. Where's the show 18? I hope I've found it all now and I've got it all in the right order, but if you are out there listening now, forgive me. Work it out. Anyway, we've got Hazel. Hazel? Unmute, Hazel.
There you go.
There you go.
Hi, dear.
Hey, Rick.
Hi, Hazel. Did you get in touch with the website?
I did. It's American-based. Was I looking at the right one? 2 men out of the States?
2 men out of the States.
Okay.
Well, did you go to phoenixtears.ca?
Oh, shit. That's why. I went to Phoenix Publishing.
No, there's no Phoenix Publishing yet. You know, so
Okay.
we see all we have is our website, and I'm selling my ebook through the website. And what I thought you could do, if you could send a file to Yindrich, they could put it up on our website and advertise it. And then if you got like a PayPal account, then whatever money comes in from the book would come directly to you.
Okay.
And if you do put the book in hardcover, then we could advertise that too and tell people where they can get it.
Okay. But, you know what? I came across something about women's breast milk and cannabis. Are you familiar with that?
What was that? Women's breast milk?
Breast milk and cannabis.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the cannabinoids in women's breast milk. Yes. I'm very aware of it. No, I mean, that's what makes the babies healthy.
Should I read a little bit of it from the Natural News so that the moms that are listening can lose their worry?
Oh, sure. By all means, please do.
Okay, so it says as woven into the fabric of the human body in an intricate system of proteins known as cannabinoid receptors that are specifically designed to process cannabinoids such as the THC, one of the primary active components of marijuana. And it turns out, based on the findings of several major scientific studies, that human breast milk naturally contains many of the same cannabinoids found in marijuana, which are extremely vital for proper human development. Cell membranes in the body are naturally equipped with these cannabinoid receptors, which, when activated by cannabinoids and various other nutritive substances, protect cells against viruses, harmful bacteria, cancer, and other malignancies. And human breast milk is an abundant source of endocannabinoids, a specific type of neuromodulatory lipid, which basically teaches a newborn child how to eat by stimulating the sucking process. If we're not of these cannabinoids in breast milk, newborn children would not know how to eat, nor would they necessarily have the desire to eat, which could result in severe malnutrition and even death. Believe it or not, the process is similar to how adult individuals who smoke pot get the munchies. As newborn children who are breastfed naturally receive doses of cannabinoids that trigger hunger and promote growth and development. Endocannabinoids have been detected in maternal milk and activation of CB1, which is a type of type 1 receptor, which appears to be critical for milk sucking. Apparently, activating oral motor musculature says that abstract in the 2004 study of endocannabinoid receptor system that was published in the European Journal of Pharmacology. The medical implications of these novel developments are far-reaching and suggest a promising future of cannabinoids in pediatric medicine for conditions including non-organic failure to thrive and cystic fibrosis. Studies of cannabinoids in breast milk help further demystify the truth of marijuana. There's two types of cannabinoid receptors in the body, the CB1 and the CB2, variety which exists in the immune system and throughout the rest of the body. Each one of these receptors respond to cannabinoids, whether it be from human breast milk in children or from juiced marijuana, for instance, in adults. This essentially means that the human body was built for cannabinoids, as these nutritive substances play a critical role in protecting cells against disease, boosting immune functions, protecting the brain and nervous system, and relieving pain and disease-causing inflammation, among other things. And because science is finally catching up in discovering how the amazing cannabinoid system works, the stigma associated with marijuana use is thankfully in the process of being eliminated. In another study of the endocannabinoids published in the journal Pharmacological Reviews back in 2006, researchers of the Laboratory of National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism uncovered even more than the benefits of cannabinoids. These include their ability to promote proper energy metabolism and energy regulation, treat metabolic disorders, treat multiple sclerosis, and prevent neurodegeneration, among other conditions. With literally thousands of published studies now showing their safety and usefulness, cannabinoids, and particularly marijuana, from which it is largely derived, truly are a health-promoting super nutrient and virtually unlimited potential in health promotion and disease prevention. So, there you go.
Thank you, Hazel. That was wonderful, dear. I'm so glad
doctors, Yep. They're all over it, those doctors, right? And they're telling us it's no good.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I always hated this aspect because they always, so many reports that I've heard people, sputter was just, we have to keep it away from the children. And that's the stupidest thing we could possibly do because there's nothing better for our children than the essential oil of this plant. We take our children in, they shove all these vaccines and pills and Ritalin and all this trash into them. And as far as I'm concerned, all of that does nothing but harm. Yet, they'll turn around and they'll, this oil is actually the greatest preventative medicine on earth. And it's the best thing that any prospective mother could take. To take the oil during your pregnancy, you will have a healthier child. And that was proven back in the 1980s when Melanie Dreher did her study. She found the healthiest babies born on the planet were born to mothers in Jamaica that used hemp a great deal.
That's what this article's saying. Yeah. Right.
And if it does no harm to a baby in the womb during the developmental stages, then why would it harm a child at any age? This medicine does no harm, unlike the medications that the medical industry supplies. They do a lot of harm. But cannabis does no harm whatsoever.
No, you're right. It's just been a bunch of, it's all about money, Rick.
Hazel,
it's all about money.
Hazel, can we ask you for the link? And I don't know if you're aware, Hazel, but every time you scroll down, we can hear it go dudunk. It's really great. It sounds like we got little, doesn't it? It sounds like she got an army of little helpers. Dudunk, dudunk,
oh, goodness.
It's okay, it was good. But if
that was a very, very important report she read there. I'm glad that she brought it up.
Definitely. They're asking for a link if she's got a link to that. Oh, there it is. She's posted it. I'll put it over into the chat room for you, Hazel. I do believe Vosto would like to ask you a question, Rick.
Yeah, yes. Well, first I'd like to know if you can hear me because this is not my usual microphone.
You're coming through loud and clear, Vosto.
Right. So what I want to say, is that I'm part of a generation which is more interested about video games and the laws on the internet and stuff like that. And whenever I try to get someone to think, to get someone to think about important things, they just they listen for a few minutes and then they go away. So my question for you is, what do we do to get people on our side to be united, just like you say, without the others to perceive us as harassers, as because when I go on the park, when I go somewhere, there are these religious fanatics that sometimes jump on me and say, "Hey, come with us and praise the Lord together," and I'm afraid that we are getting perceived like that too. So what should be our approach to get new people on our side? Because if we don't get new people, we're just gonna stand here and talk the same thing over and over again, and we already know what we are talking about. So the idea is to get new people, and how do we do that?
Well, we're getting hundreds of thousands, I think, new people every week, because people are seeing the healing power of this medicine. But I mean, like I said, we got the government standing against us, the news media, the medical system, the policing, justice systems. They're all standing against us. And they've got all the money and they've got all the power. I mean, all we have are shows like this and, and spreading the word, because luckily for us, that medication, when it's produced properly, it makes its own reputation very quickly. And, like I said, now I would say that millions of people worldwide have actually experienced, the use of this oil, and they know what it can do. So there's no stopping it. But, like you, I'm concerned as how can we speed this up? And until, we get more people within the system, looking at this in a rational way and helping us, it's going to be a hard road.
Because, like, for example, I'm all the way in Romania, right, in Carpathian Mountains, some random village, and if I talk to some of the older people here, they have this mindset, which they think they compare, cannabis, they compare it to heroin. In their minds, it's kind of it has only bad effects. It can lead to death and stuff like that. So you can't say the worst,
That's the propaganda they've been fed, though. And I mean, that's the reason for all of this. But I mean, there's no truth in any of it. Yeah. And actually, I found many of the countries in Europe to be much more open-minded about using cannabis because they had such a long history, with the use of this plant. So over here, I mean, North America, you have a real hard time because we don't have the history, with the plant that you have in Europe. But I found people in Europe to be, quite open-minded, but still, all this brainwashing and propaganda that they've endured, it's definitely had a very negative effect. There's no question about it. But, one thing I've told so many people, and I've had people walk right up and reject this, and I just laugh at them and say, okay, the day will come when you'll get sick enough, you won't reject it then. And in many of these cases, like some of these people I met, it might be 4 or 5 years, but before you know it, one day a knock comes to the door, and guess who it is? The non-believer. Because a friend of theirs or some family member is dying or they have a condition themselves that the medical system isn't helping them with, then suddenly they discover the magic for themselves. So it's a slow process, brother, but I mean, we are gaining ground in a huge way, all the time. But it'll never be fast enough for me. As far as I'm concerned, this should have been resolved 10 years ago when I went to the Canadian government about it. I mean, if that government had been half honest and wanted to do what was right for their citizens, they would have acted then. Instead, they just turned around and persecuted me, and they made me a criminal in the end. I mean, it's a crime to save lives, for God's sakes. That's the kind of country Canada is.
Maybe they want to kill lives. That's the point.
That's what it's all about. And I was always proud to call myself a Canadian until I actually found out what the government here was doing. Because I mean, they're committing genocide against their own damn people. And that's certainly nothing to be proud of. And, just recently here, I think there was only one little news source that covered it, but the Supreme Court of Canada actually ruled that Stephen Harper and his Conservative Party fixed the last federal election in this country, for God's sakes. But there was only one little news thing that reported it. The mainstream media, you don't see it. So we got a criminal running our country we knew that beforehand, but we got a criminal running our country. What a mess we're in.
Yeah, man. That's all I have to say. Thank you for, letting me be on that program.
Well, hang in there, brother. It will come, and I'm doing everything I can, and I know many others are doing the same, so please bear with us.
Yeah.
Vostok, your music,
What?
It's brilliant.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bob.
Right. What Rick's trying to do is brilliant. I'm honoured to be around such brilliance. That's what we do, mate.
Yeah, let's bring the brilliance together.
That's it. That's it, man. And look, the flash, the blinding light of it. We have to give them chance. I suspect in weeks' time that people were ringing in the station after they've heard the podcasts from weeks and maybe months ago now. It takes some time, man. It's going to take them time. I know it's hard, and especially like when you're at Rick's end of it. Greatest of respect intended there, Rick. But when you're at Rick's end of it, you know, and it's like, you know, to me, that's it, Losto. Your music.
You know, the problems that I have are mostly, but actually with both parts. Like here in Romania, you've got the old people who are brainwashed by the former communist regime, you know, and they have that old mindset and think that, you know, everything is bad for you and stuff like that. And even if you show the facts to them, you know, they don't want to see it because they think the facts are fake. So, okay, and that's one side, and the other side is the brainwashed kids and the brainwashed new people who are only concerned about what video game to play next and what, you know, music and, but not even, you know, not even music. You can call what they are listening music. I don't know. Maybe I'm too harsh with this. Everyone has its own taste. But when you listen only to the commercial United States music, I don't think that's really cool, you know, like Lady Gaga and Rihanna and Justin Bieber all day, plus video games. And I don't know how I can convert someone like that to a thinking, breathing human being. Because right now it's just games, you know, they sleep, they play games, they listen to some music, they eat, then they party with their parents' money, then they eat some more, then, you know, then some more games, and then they sleep again. So,
no, it's the same here in Canada, Vosto. It's the same damn thing. I mean, kids are just tied to these damn video games, and, you know, and then we wonder why there's so much violence in our society when these little tykes are playing Grand Theft Auto and all of these horrible games. You know, I don't even think that children should be exposed to, you know, to video games of that nature. And, I don't think it's healthy, actually. And I think it actually breeds violence. So, you know, they're doing so many things to affect, you know, the coming generations, you know, as we speak. You know, they're filling the children full of more and more pills. You know, they don't talk about it, but like when incidents happen, like, you know, when these children go into schools and they kill their teachers and fellow students, well, you know, what are these children taking? And when you look into it, most of the time they're on Paxil or Prozac or some of these other damn mind-altering things.
Lost the receptors of your brain.
So, I mean, it's the pills that these children are being given that are the real culprit. But, you know, but they don't talk about that because that would affect the drug companies. You know, it's truly a horror story out here today. I know dozens of people that are out there getting prescriptions for hydromorphine, Percocet, you name it. And they're selling their pills. And those pills are going on the street, and, you know, young people are getting addicted to them. You know, that's part of the problem, and of course the police they're doing little or nothing to put a halt to it. So it just continues on.
Right. Well, again, thank you for letting me be on the show. I will now go back to the listener status, and hope we will have a good time.
Losto, just one thing, man. I think you're a beautiful man, you know. I don't know if you can save them all. I really don't know, you know. I think that they have to find it themselves. In their own way, man. I think they have to find it themselves.
Yeah, it's a solo journey. Like that's how it went from me. You know, no one told me about this stuff. You know, it all started when I was 17, and I don't know. I was randomly looking on some YouTube videos, and some video popped up with some nice information, and that's how I Then I looked at the next video and the next video and the next video, and then I started to read some stuff because it's not enough just to watch videos. But I think it's a journey that each must take. And I'm not saying that in a hippie way, journey, dude. You must seek the path, No,
I got you, Vosto. I knew exactly what you meant. It is like almost like we're preaching a religion. I know what you mean, man. It's like how do we go about it? Well, all those people who go either side, it don't matter what side they're on, mate. When they come through to you and you're, are you back, Rick?
Oh yeah, still coughing.
when they come back to you, Vosto, and they've heard your music, and you're saying like, well, I've smoked cannabis, it never did me any harm. Look, and that's it. It's the example. It is the example, mate. Each one of us has to be that example.
They put so much barriers today, and they make it so that you are unable to go on that journey with loads of spam everywhere. Everything is about the popular stuff. If you go on YouTube, you have to know directly what you are searching, because otherwise you won't find the nice things. You will just see the Lady Gagas and stuff like that, or nothing really important until you know exactly what you are searching for. So do you understand what I'm saying? There are a lot of barriers. They put like dams so that you can't escape, and then when you go on the streets, there are even more commercials to useless stuff that you don't need. And that's how it goes. And in the school, they say the same things. They say that cannabis is evil, and all that kind of stuff, all that respect authority kind of teaching style. So at the end of the day, it's very hard, and that's why we are a minority. I'm not saying that we are one or something like that, but we are individuals that go similarly on the same kind of vibe, and again, I'm not saying this in any kind of new wavy way. I'm just saying that we are a minority, and we will always be a minority, because the war is too big. Facebook and stuff like this help sometimes. I have seen the posts have changed. Most of the people are now more humanitarian. They are starting to share what is happening in Turkey.
Yes, I agree, Vostok. Can you not see that? Look, it's getting there. It's all over. What's gone on in Turkey, is all over. I've played the Anon Operation Turkey and Anonymous Petrol Ops over and over and over again. People are getting it. Yeah, I know we're not like hundreds of thousands. I know we're only small, but we know that now. They eluded us, man, that there was thousands of people out there, also, and they're not. We know that now. We know we're only small amounts of people. At least we know that.
Also, there are all these people that they are only into conspiracy, but like really retarded. I can't call it retarded, because obviously no man is I'm not in a position to insult anyone, but they destroy the fanatic conspirators, the fanatic ones that believe in alien, not necessarily aliens as in aliens, but the Galactic Federation of Light and all that kind of stuff, and they are very certain about it without actually having any proof apart from some channelers and stuff like that. And these kind of people, they destroy what we are trying to create. And of course the media don't take them seriously, and no one takes them seriously, and so no one will join us either, because they will think that we are a part of that group, which are totally insane, in my opinion.
Well, this all does connect back in with many conspiracies that are truly going on. But one of the beauties of this medicine is it's not only the patient that benefits. You know, I mean, if you got someone dying of terminal cancer or something of that nature, it's not only the patient that sees what the oil does, but, you know, their families, they see it, and all their friends, they know what's going on. So this, you know, this is spreading it in a very fast, in a much faster manner than what we realize. And to say that there's not many of us, I don't think that's quite correct. I honestly believe that worldwide now there's millions of us, you know, that have awakened to the truth. And it's like, you know, once you see what the medicine can do, you know, how do you ignore that? You know, and the next time one of your family members gets sick or you get sick, then, you know, what are you going to turn to? You're going to turn to something that works. So I think the medicine has a very bright future.
I've got to agree with that. And also, a lot of people, Vosto, who click onto this, what's actually going on, aren't like us. They don't stick around and try and inform others. They just get on with it. They just get on with it, man. They do. They realise when somebody's faced with such horrific illness or disorder, disease, and suddenly it's gone, they have a completely different outlook on life. You know, you appreciate it. You appreciate every moment. So yeah, not everyone hangs around. Most of them move along, and we don't hear of them. I know they're out there. I know eventually the lot will come together. I don't know how we do that. I think you're right. Facebook and things like that, they have helped. Social media.
Although these social medias are very under surveillance, you probably already know about the Project Prism, which contains Facebook, Skype, Google, all connected, Microsoft, so even your Windows is being under surveillance. And this is not just a conspiracy, it was leaked by this guy who worked on the project and left the country so he can go to Hong Kong, so he can leak all his information, so they don't arrest him, because Hong Kong, protects the freedoms, and they will not listen to what the U.S. will say. So, we are under big surveillance, but there are alternatives. This is not really the discussion where we should go. This is more for my type of IT show. But even if we are under surveillance, we can still be free. If they ban this account, you can make another one. And so what if they can hear this conference, what we are talking right now? I say, let's troll it. Let's use the keywords. Let's say bomb terrorist.
Yeah. Whatever no, we can't say terrorist. Don't say bomb or terrorist. You know what happens?
So if I say it, so what? Now maybe someone from the FBI is here right now. So I say, hey man, what's up? Maybe listen to what we are talking. Maybe you will learn something, and you will realize that everything that you are working for is fake. That other guy, you will start leaking as well.
Well, they should, Vosto. I mean, how do you sit there? If anybody was going over my emails or Skypes and all these things I do, I mean, when you go over my emails, it's just one patient after another. Money and all these different diseases. I mean, when the people.
We're back on.
I guess we went off air there for a few seconds, folks. I'm sorry about that. Where was I?
It was all them bombs and Martins. That's what did it.
There are loads of whistleblowers nowadays, and there will be more and more. And the system will not know what to do. I hope it gets to that point, But
well, it's kind of like I said.
We're going to have some problems. Just like Obama said in a video, If you don't trust us, we're going to have some problems, he said.
Well, when people learn the truth, I mean, I think actually the system will devour itself from within. Because even if you do work for the damn system, and there's a cure for cancer, well, I mean, if one of your family members gets sick, what are you going to do? I don't see much of a future for this system, although, they're trying to maintain that front, like they're in control. but I don't think they're really, I think they're running scared right now, because there's so many things coming at them from so many different directions. Definitely the medicine, or the use of this medicine is one of the big ones, but there's many different things coming at them at the present time, and people are waking up. Well, I think in the system's point of view, I think that they're finding that people are waking up at a very alarming rate, and as soon as we get enough people, when we get that critical number, that critical mass, then everything's going to change. I don't know when we'll hit that number, but I think we're not that far away from it, because certainly we're getting a lot of attention, all over the world now about this issue, and like I said, millions now have been healed worldwide. So I think it's just a matter of time, and I really do believe that something big should happen this year. I know it will happen because the pharmaceutical industry is getting into it, but I think a lot of the people will come to realize that they have, that they need to have free right to this medication, the same as everyone, because today people just don't have the damn money. We're all up against the wall when it comes to funding. So we just don't have the money to go out and pay thousands or tens of thousands of dollars for these absurd medical treatments that the medical industry provides, when we can go out and just for a very small expenditure, grow our own and produce our own medicine. So I think the handwriting's on the wall. The people are going to have this come hell or high water, and I don't think there's a damn thing the system can do to stop it.
Well said, man. Hey, I'm going to go feed my dog. It's been a pleasure to be here, and see you another time.
Well, thank you for calling in, brother. It was interesting. You had many important things to say.
Thank you.
Yeah, he does a great show of Osto. He helps out a lot on the station. Brilliant musician, Rick. Brilliant musician. And I kind of felt, well, lad, how do we do it? How do we do it? I've been there so many times. I really have. And like I say, I'll say it again, by example. By example. And,
well, that's what it's all about, Paul. I mean, when I look at myself, I mean, yeah, they call me the Messiah and a prophet and all this, but I'm just an ordinary man that's simply standing there telling the truth. And we can all do the same. All we have to do is a little bit of simple research to verify, everything we're saying is true, and that can be done very easily on the internet. And then stand up and start, voicing your opinion. You're supposed to have a right to one. And in many of these countries, we're even supposed to have the right to free speech, although it kind of doesn't look that way in some of these countries.
Yeah, well, he doesn't. You don't seem to have any. We've got. I'm not sure if it's Lee and then Hazel, or I wasn't watching this text. I had a few other things to deal with here at that. There's a lot happening at the moment, but we're doing okay.